When I'm with you, I feel naked. I can't hide my scars. Piece by piece, you put me together till I am no longer broken. When I'm with you, I can be myself. I don't have to wear a mask anymore. You see who I am deep down inside, and I grow by the light of your gaze. You fill me with wonder, you fill me with hope. You've opened up my eyes. I see eternity in every little thing when you're by my side. When I'm with you,
Hello.
I don't feel silent.
Hello, everybody. Hello,
Your
everybody.
voice is in my head. Leave me be.
Yes, I thought maybe I won't be, copyright stricken. Because that's me singing! It's me covering a song! So I thought, oh, people do covers all the time and they don't get stricken. So maybe I can have a little bit of intro music and not be stricken. Not be stricken down. But who knows, maybe I will still be struck. But hello! Thank you! Oh, thank you! How are you doing? How are you? How are you? Yo. Oh, hi, Metal Foxend. Hello, hello. You're astounded. What are you astounded by? Hello, Shakaya. Mummy comes straight home and starts streaming, doesn't she? Doesn't even pay any attention to you. Oh, thank you. Well, my voice is proper shit right now. But thank you. That's very sweet. Hi, Efrain. I am much better. I'm still a wee bit sick, but I am much better. I feel much better. So yeah, we are doing much better, everyone. Yes. Yes. And I think I was sounding better during Jack's stream as well. I was feeling better and sounding better, I think. Hello, darlings. Hello. I'm so glad to be back. We are so fucking back. How are you lovelies feeling? Oh, well, it's because I can read, darling. Yay, thank you. Yeah, I really was, I started feeling better like hours before I started streaming with Jack. I was so grateful for that. I was like, oh, thank goodness. We are so back. We are so back. And today, my loves, we will be studying the moon to, you know, whatever extent it's possible that we can. Hello everyone, please meet my character, Aria of Caria. She's a Carian, and she is... I'm trying to play her faithfully as like a Carian knight and not like break into any other kind of spell usage or weaponry and stuff like that. If you look at all of her weaponry, it's all, except for that, stuff that I think Carians would use. 10 out of 10 name. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I named my cat Aya a long time ago. She died in January, so I thought honoring her with an Elden Ring character was appropriate. Fly me to the moon. And then I forgot the rest of the words. But yes. Why do you think the Carians have dragons? Is that something any of you have thought about before? And apparently those dragons eat wizards. And when they do, the most remarkable thing seems to happen. When they eat wizards, they seem to meld harmoniously with them. Have any of you noticed that before? They do. They have a crystal dragon-like thing. It's absolutely correct. And sorry, I'm super knackered. I just got off work and I'm like airheaded as fork. But yes, it's interesting that... Hello, Rivu! Hello! It is interesting to me that the Carians have dragons, and that those dragons are known for having eaten wizards, and that something about them eating wizards turned them into magical dragon, like magic using dragons. Like, what the fuck is that? Is this evidence that the shaman are related to drakes and dragons? Is that what that is? Would we say that that might be it? Metal Foxhound says, I think the Carians have alliances and friendships between a lot of creatures in this game, like the demi-humans, trolls, fire giants, Miriel, the giant tortoise. Efrain says, I think every drake is able to meld harmoniously, or at least absorb energy from other sources. I agree with both of you. I agree with both of you. Brandon says, well, it could be that gold melds well with others, and they used to be made with gold. Efrain says, because we see now snow drakes, fire drakes, rot drakes, and it's a really good observation. You're absolutely right. We do see all of these variations of thingy-mabobbies, don't we? Yes, we do. Yes. Okay, seek 3 wise beasts. If I remember correctly, one of them is back here, is that correct? Yes, there's one there. And I guess I could hit him with a crystal dart. So there's one. Does anyone remember? Oh, I think I remember where the other 2 are. Sekiro. Sekiro. Sekiro, Sekiro, Sekiro. Sekiro, Sekiro. Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise in something. Some reading the signs of my body. Or something like that. I don't know. I don't know any lyrics ever from anywhere. It's not up there. Don't get in a fight with an orange wolf that you can't handle. It ain't easy being tortoisey, says Brandon. Okay, and the dragons are all up here, right? Am I running into... Sekiro, Sekiro. Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you're me. Okay, I'll be quiet. I'm annoying my damn self. Am I gonna get aggro from Dragro? I am confuzzled. Where? Okay, I don't remember ever having to face dragons to get these tortoises. So I think I don't have to go over there. I think I have to go over here, and there's one floating way up high like a blimp. I think it's right there. Yeah, I got him. And I think the other one's back down, right? Hi, Messy Jessie. Yeah, I just got the Spirit Spring one. What's a red creative color? Oh, is red a creative color? In regards to what? The wolf? Is he a creative wolf? But I really think there's something about dragons and drakes and Newman all connecting with a greater will somehow. I agree with you, Ephraim. I wholeheartedly, I do quite agree. Okay, I think it's just down there. Bloop! Oh no, y'all haven't seen Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. For whatever reason, Rivu sounds like this now. Oh no, y'all haven't seen Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Brandon says, asking Rivu, oh. Oh. Where's the cliff face? Is it way up there? Is that where the tortoise is? I guess we're going round. Hi, baby Claudia. Isn't there a bear over here? Am I walking into a trap? There are wolves. There are wolves and light aplenty. Who is making Metal Fox sound laugh so hard? Also, drakes somehow feel like a mimic of ancient dragons, but it's always too soon for me to be sure about mimics in this game. Ugh! Girl, I relate. He took a oh. I watched all the Don't Hug Me. Oh. Oh, it's me? I'm making you laugh? Well, whatever did I do that resulted in laughter? Oh, I nearly died just there. I'm gonna drop down here. Do you think I can make that drop there? We'll find out. I made it. Alright, so, no, no. I did it. Oh, my redneck accent. It wasn't me doing that. That was Rivu. That was all Rivu. I think that their the connection between the dragons and the Carians is the same connection between the Carians and the Newman. And I want to make a bet with you guys. How much do you want to bet? And who the fuck is Chelona? Do we know who Chelona is? But anyway, how much do you want to bet that somewhere around this wizard spire is either a Trina lily or a Mikola lily? I'm gonna have to go outside and search for it. But how much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet? Oh yeah, everybody here is well and good in terms of the notes that they allow to invade their auditory sensory organs. Let's read this. Why am I going the long way? This spell description. So Renala's full moon says, Queen Renala encountered this enchanting moon when she was young, and later it would bewitch the academy. Do I sound like Miriel? I'm trying to sound like Miriel. Okay, so, and this one is Ronnie's Dark Moon. And it says, this moon was encountered by a young Rani, led by the hand of her mother, Renala. What she beheld was cold, dark, and veiled in occult mystery. I can't cast either of these. But anyway. Alright, let's see. Okay, so you say there should be one around the south side. I'm willing to bet there's one as well. I agree with you, Black Man. It's probably going to be a Trina lily. Just seems like the sort of place that Trina would be dropping lily seeds. I feel like we're on to her. Bitch, we are on to you. fetch. Let's see. I see lots of tortoises and no lilies yet. But it'll be stashed somewhere, like in a corner, how they like to do. Maybe around the other side. I like how that there's these blue flowers from the Carian coast. What does that mean? When we're supposed to be connecting these things, the dragons melding harmoniously, these electric blue flowers, royal electric blue flowers with the Carian coast where death washes up. What's the connection? I think we were wrong. I don't think there's a lily. Yeah, there's no lily. We were wrong, what the fuck? Well, I guess it's time for me to end my streaming career. Chalona. More like Shalona. My Shalona. Alright, so no lily. But there's another connection that the Carians have with something queer. And we love when, you know, people are related to something queer, don't we? Yes. The Carians are for the girls and the gays. Back up. Alright, so there's a path leading over here, and then there's little frosty snails. Okay, so we dispatched of the frosty snails. Where does this path lead? Does it lead to a bear? Maybe. Oh, more wolves. They like to wait around paths, don't they? These wolves. That's a good question. I think they're supposed to symbolize different forms of death. But what that nuance is, I couldn't say. But I think the red is supposed to be associated with, like, Helfen, for example, whereas the blue is associated with putrescence. Does that make sense to you? But I don't know why. Just like I don't understand why the dragons are melding harmoniously. I think this is the area that I was talking about. It's called Luna Estate Ruins. And as you walk around here, it's all the same kind of ruins as the ones that someone somewhere along the way was like, forgive us, we failed to protect. And it, you know, these are Carian ruins, basically. And the interesting thing is, what we can find here is this guy here. these blokes. They are all over these ruins. Why? Why are they connected to the Carians? I'm not clever enough to wield the moon spears. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I'm so sleepy that I'm making annoying, stupid vocalizations. So forgive me. Can't help it, I'm tired. But anyway, these are things that keep me up at night. These are things that I'm thinking about and having ponderances over. And I hate it because I bet if I pulled Jack aside and I was like, "Hey Jack, what do you think about this?" he would just blurt something out like it was, you know, common knowledge. But revenants came back from the dead because of moon magic? Huh. But why? Do maybe phases of the moon have something to do with, oh, please. Phases of the moon maybe have something to do with the way that death, is presented? To be honest, I haven't seen a single trainer lily. And or a Mikola lily up here. And I wonder why. Is that bear chasing me now? Oh, but there's an owl. I wonder if we can touch that moonlight beam. No, it disappears when we get close to it. Do they all do that? Disappear when we draw near. Look how beautiful. I'm literally chasing moonbeams, aren't I? But yeah, it's it's something I'm thinking about. But what's interesting is Manucelis is crafted clearly from a different time with different like architecture, but it's like 100% related to Emir's cathedral. Like, look at it. Cathedral. This is the only other cathedral that we know of. This and Emir's cathedral. And what's really fascinating is it's pretty much like a copy-paste of Emir's cathedral, isn't it? Except we haven't got like a graveyard outside of this one. Instead we have this. Oh, well, let us know, Rivu. Fill us in. Actually, Rivu, do you want to join me in the chat? and dump a bunch of lore? Do you want to do that? Huh? Want to join me in voice? And speak to our people? Dun dun dun. I'm gonna track you down. How's about this? Are you screening my call right now? Rude!
Hello.
Hi, hello!
Apparently, I'm southern now, so I have to do an accent for the whole thing. Damn.
I bet you
Howdy.
could too.
Okay, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
No, I'm not gonna.
You probably could.
I could if I tried, but I don't think I'm gonna try. But hi. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Look at you jumping
Revu
all
has
over.
appeared into the chat.
I've
Hello.
joined for some jolly cooperation or something.
Jolly cooperation. So,
Yes.
so fill us in then. You were having a thought, an epitome
Yeah.
or something.
Oh.
Like that.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to like take this call. I'm gonna be like back in like 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No
Right,
worries.
just
No
muted
worries.
myself.
Yes. I can't wait to hear what his idea is. Yes, badge. Rivuperson. Maybe they called it a finding like scientific terms. When you find something, you basically discover its nature. Hi. Yes, we're gonna listen to Mr. Rivu reveal all. Should I go down there? Do you think I've already been down there? What do you think, folks? Rude, I ran into the wall. Rivu being booked and busy, giving us cliffhangers.
I'm back.
Hey! Welcome back, Rivu.
Okay. Hi. Okay. So, I wanna like preface what I'm about to say, with like why I'm interested in this at all. I mean, I'm interested in this, but like why I'm interested in what I'm about to like talk about. It has to do with I'm just a fan of like origin myths, like what happens at the beginning of the universe in like any fantasy situation. Whether it's like fantasy or it's like mythology kind of thingy. And I always like keeping track of those things because like those stories are like they tell you a lot about what's about to happen in the world and like what's going to like repeat, like in terms of themes. Like there's something so primal about like the first thing that happened in a universe, which is why I'm like like even though I'm not like a huge fan of things like say the Elder Scrolls series, like we all like Skyrim, I guess, to some degree, but like it has some fascinating origin lore and things like that. But then there's like stuff like the Silmarillion with the Ainul and Dale and Melkor singing a weird tune, and other things like that. But the one I want to like specifically talk about, I think, is what's it called? The like in Greek myth, how there was an it's hard to even call it a time, but there was like a moment before time began when Gaia and Uranus were like the two beings that existed in like a timeless void, and they were like, yo, wanna go on a date or something? And they like went on a date, and then stuff happened. And the sun and the moon cycles began, and time began, and their son was born, Kronos or something. And, things like that keep happening. Like the idea that a world, especially like a world that is like high fantasy energy, can come from a place of extremely like old beings, like extremely old, like not even beings, like celestial concepts, like clashing with each other, being the beginning of like the universe, is like a really fascinating thing generally. That's also the case with the Earth itself. For me, I mean, not for me, like that's generally what we know what happened, which is that like the Earth was kind of like hanging around, and then a meteor shows up and hits the Earth, and like the rocks of the Earth sort of go flailing about like and then like it forms. And when the Earth ultimately does form, a moon is also formed, as its satellite, and now we have like these two celestial bodies that are cooling down, and then everything else happens. The oceans happen, the Cambrian explosion happens, etc., etc. And now we're in the Holocene and playing Elden Ring, and in Elden Ring, I believe. Okay, cool. I've made sense of like why I care about this, or where I'm coming from, like why I'm coming at it for. Okay, cool. Now it's I don't know how many people. Have you seen what the moon spells do?
Yes, I have. Like how they absorb magic, and they
Yeah. That's one of the things. There's another thing it does.
They move slowly, but they track, and then they go faster and faster and faster, and then they explode.
Yeah, that's a thing. So there is acceleration due to gravity. That's like an idea that's being presented. The speed at which they move actually does speed up. There is acceleration to it, so it is gravity adjacent. All spells that sort of are being shot at it, or all projectiles that are being, magic projectiles that are being shot at it, will be caught in its gravitational like pull in some way, similar to how what was that called? Eternal Darkness. That Eternal Darkness spell, the Void spell, does a very similar thing. That's there, but the other really interesting thing for me is when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the moon hits your enemy, if it doesn't die immediately, like if it's a boss, or whatever enemy it's hitting, it's also debuffing. Both the moons do that. The dark moon does like it also does frost damage. It's also endothermic. But the two moons, one of the things it does is it sort of shows you that the enemy has a debuff on it. Normally, a debuff, you can just show, like, the game can just show us a very simple image of, like, these, like, glowing lines which, move downwards or something, right? But in the case of the moons, it's like these blue lines that are moving downwards, but also glintstone that's, like, breaking off the person almost. It's like glintstone that's falling off the person. And I think that tells a story. I've had this part of the feeling for like a long time. I think. Okay, cool. That's that. The thing that Hayata says at when at the end of like the frenzy nonsense, once you poke her in the eyes with your fingers and like her eyes are aflame and she's suddenly in pain but also having a vision because fantasy. She says something in along the lines of the words of the three fingers. All things were once the one great, but then came fractures, and then came life, death, war, pestilence. Those might not be Elden Ring words. Those might be other other lore words or whatever. But like that's like every concept comes from the one great that used to exist once upon a time. And yeah, so like essentially there was a one great once upon a time. In my opinion, that one great is the greater will, and there is no real greater will anymore. Everything that exists, all things that we can see in the world of Elden Ring, is the greater will after it has been shattered the first time. The first shattering, in my mind, is some celestial body that was called the greater will, which had some sort of will of its own, which was shattered by a moon. I feel like that's what the spell tells. I feel like that's what the spell is really telling us. Yep, that's basically it. The other thing about that is, you know how at the Church of Manus Celis, there's these like blue light beams that are like coming down. There's also another location somewhere in the game where there are gold beams, right? Somewhere in Leyndell.
Yeah, they're near the tree.
Yeah. I wonder, like, that's what I was saying in the chat about. I have a feeling that it has to do with those are like the trails, like the locus of the shattered pieces of like the original moon and the original greater will and stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. I have no real like true feelings about it at this moment. But it just occurred to me that it's possible that that's the kind of thing that could be taking place. Something. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that's the. I hope that makes some sense. And I think that story is the story that keeps getting told. We are being told the main story that we're like looking at. Now the shattering of like the moon shattering the greater will for the first time. The way like that's from my headcanon. But that initial piece of it could have multiple meanings behind it. I'm just saying like that's potentially the objective fact of it. There's nothing subjective in my head about like whether it was like out of malice or it was something that somebody wanted. I mean, I feel like the game kind of presents a quantum state of like intentions and ideas of like why a shattering would take place or why something like that could take place. But I feel like because that's the thing that happened, all things in life within the world of Elden Ring replicate that first thing because it just keeps like repeating. Because the shattering of the Elden Ring is a similar story to me, similar to how you feel about the shedding of Marika's children as opposed to like, you know, pregnant births. Tells a similar story. I think the offshoots of Millennia tell a similar story. I think that's kind of how I see it a little bit. This idea that
I agree.
Yeah. I feel like it just keeps shattering and shattering and shattering and shattering, and there's smaller shatterings and there's smaller shatterings and smaller shatterings that keep happening. It's like a big chart of like it's like a tree. It's like it starts as a single thing, but then it starts branching out and branching out and branching out. Lightning is the same. Like it starts here, then branches out. In the image of it, that's not necessarily what's taking place, but yeah. Something. Yeah, causality, Black Man. Yeah, it's. I'm basically suggesting that's the beginning of causality. That's where if you regress in the story all the way backwards, it just is. Yeah, Demiurge. Yep. That's my basic thought on what the beginning of the universe in Elden Ring was.
Yeah,
Something.
That sounds brilliant and probably true. And you know, Miss Metal Foxhand said, you know how when you cast it, you curl up into a fetal position and you're inside the ball, and then you fall out of the ball. And literally in George R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, he talks about how once the moon was an egg, and then the moon cracked, and the thousands dragons poured forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my god, that changes something in my head for me. What if the moon was the child of the greater will?
Shit. Yeah.
And the water breaking essentially.
What
I mean, not to say it's not to say that that's exactly how the biology of the greater will works, but to suggest that, you know, that's the kind of thing that's taking place that shatters.
Well, what if it kind of is? Like, what if the beings on this planet are earthly representations of deities that exist in a higher plane?
Yeah, that's 100%. That makes sense.
My goodness, I need to smoke some weed while we have these conversations. I think the Greater Will was part of the Great One,
Oh, okay.
says Brandon.
Just saying there's more. Okay.
And
right.
then Ephraim says, the Great One for me is basically the Big Bang, to be honest. Matter once was all unformed and in one point in space, and then it expanded, and exploded. Brandon says
I like
it's
that.
just the greater will of all its broken parts of the Great One. Metal Fox Center's out here dying. And then Black Man says, and I have no idea why, I love her so much. And then Blackman says, Ymir does say we are all children of the greater will and the stars, yes, and yet nobody can fathom its implications.
Yeah, I think there's something within that for me. There's something within the nature of like everybody trying to figure out the greater will. I'll tell you what item I'm thinking of. Hold on. Shit. It's called is it? Yeah. It is. Give me a sec. It's called, the microcosm spell. There's a line in there which I think tells us something really crucial about the nature of people in the world of Elden Ring. Like anybody, literally anybody. Hold on. Where is the thing? Wait. Where is it? Damn it. Okay, hold on. I'll have to do the thing I don't like doing. Looking at the internet. I'm kidding. No, microcosm won't help me. Microcosm, Elden Ring. Fleeting microcosm. Yeah, there we go. The broken and discarded are fully willing to cling to fleeting simulacra, earning them some modicum of sympathy. That's really important to me, because I think, okay, let me back up a little bit for a second. Here's something else within that shows up in the DLC a lot. Like, it keeps popping up, this idea that the name like literally anybody in the DLC, like any group of people, the so and so group, the I don't know, the theater kids in the Realm of Shadows found a twisted divine element and then turned that into something, and then started like praying to it or believing in it or something. There's a concept in like Hinduism. Hinduism's like, okay, let me back this up for a second. Hinduism, I'm brought up Hindu. I don't necessarily believe in anything. Hey, Gold Race. I don't necessarily believe in anything, but like there's a lot of like just fun literature to it. But I don't like care at the level of like, this is really important to me. It's just more like, no, this is fascinating, is all it is. And there's one particular story about the nature of, who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Shiva and Parvati. No, Sati. Where Shiva, who was always dressed as an ascetic in like animal furs and covered in ash, and looked pretty disgusting. Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Well,
it was fucking like... one of you. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. And it was fine. Like, he's welcome to live his life. However, and he is like a god or whatever. But one of the avatars of like this one god who has 10. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Was in love with a human woman who is the reincarnation or avatar of a goddess, and they have to come together. That's just like the rules of the world. They have to gravitate towards each other. They keep gravitating in every like reincarnation that they have. Jack is in the chat. And what's the thing that plays when Jack shows up?
Oh, he says,
would say
would
it's
you
nice to meet
consider
you, but
watching
it's
my
nice to
video
meet
on
you.
stream? He'd like to see my reaction. Yeah, did you post, did you just release a video? He knows too much. That's very true, Revu.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh no.
I'm gonna release my album first.
Did Jack
Jackamus.
did Jack just grace us with a video drop?
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
Holy
How Elden Ring
shit.
hides its story.
Firehouse sub, second letter jingle, take one.
Go. All right, here we go.
Okay, gamers, let's go.
Let us go.
Lettuce,
Here.
tomato.
We'll do this. All right, everyone, we're gonna watch Jack's video. Let's see. All right, we have to watch an advert because I don't pay for you.
In some senses, I had already told the story, even though I'd only told it in shorthand. And retelling the story over again is not as much fun as telling the story for the first time.
Even if you haven't played Elden Ring, you may be familiar with this guy, Godric the Grafted. Shown in many of the promotional materials and trailers, Godric is one of the first demigods that players will face. Like most From Software games, Elden Ring sparsely uses cutscenes or exposition, leading to there being no concise way to fully understand what is going on in-game. Instead, the history of the world and its characters are located in the menu descriptions of items, the dialogue of NPCs, and the physical environments within the game. So just by playing the game and reading a few items, by the time you meet Godric in the flesh, you probably learn that he is the last of the Golden Lineage, the royal line that ties its ancestry back to the first Elden Lord Godfrey, though some even scoff at the validity of this claim. He is not a brave or honorable man, as he hid himself amongst the womenfolk to flee the capital at the start of the Shattering War, and now resides in Stormvale Castle, where he also hid from Radahn, and then after insulting Melania, lost to her in battle. Seen here.
I am Melania.
His forces are made up of knights and soldiers who are loyal to him and his family. Clad in gilded armor and weapons, their coat of arms depicting the symbols of the Golden Lineage, as well as sellswords, exiled criminals, and banished knights who wear the symbols evoking ancient dragons. But most of all, he has resorted to the grotesque act of grafting, and the Tarnished have been his primary victims. The Tarnished are the descendants of the warriors who were exiled with the first Elden Lord and first of the Golden Lineage, Godfrey. Godric and the other nobles from the Golden Lineage have had many Tarnished mutilated, removing all of their limbs and attaching them to their own bodies, turning themselves into horrible monstrosities. This isn't just to enhance their own power, however. To prove his royal lineage, not only do him and his soldiers wear the ancestral coat of arms of the first Elden Lord, but Godric is literally wearing a coat of arms made of the descendants of Godfrey's exiled warriors. And he's also going to perform a dragon puppet show. Everybody, give him a hand.
Yay!
Just by reading a few item descriptions, talking to a few characters, and exploring Stormvale Castle, can we learn all of this fairly easily. But this isn't how Elden Ring hides its story. After defeating a few demigods, multiple legendary foes, exploring above and below ground, you may find this Everjail off the beaten path. Inside is the gatekeeper who protects Elden Ring's story, the one you must pass to fully unlock its hidden lore. Godfrey the Grafted. On the surface, it may look like the game is just reusing boss fights to fill in content, but he is the key to understanding Elden Ring, its lore, and its story. Anyone can go on a wiki and read all of the item descriptions or dialogue to start painting a picture of the history of the lands between. But this isn't how its story was designed to be understood. To really know what's going on, you have to play the game, which may seem obvious, but it's for one very specific reason. The order in which Elden Ring reveals its information is sometimes more important than the information itself. Godfrey is a great example of this. While he may look like a copy of Godric, his location tells us the opposite. Godric had escaped the capital with the womenfolk, thanks to the Mimic Veil. We love mimics, don't we, folks? And Godfrey was imprisoned outside of the capital.
I'm sorry,
so
what's a
during
mimic?
this time, Godric was not present, nor was he grafting
Godric
when Godefroy was
is
shoved
a
in the
mimic
memory
of
jar.
Godefroy.
The only item in game that even mentions Godefroy
Oh,
are
Jack.
the
Jack
ashes
is.
of ancient dragon knight Kristoff, which tell us how his capture of Godefroy during the first defense of Leyendell led to Kristoff being awarded the hero's honor of an Erdtree burial. Our two golden lineage grafters also aren't exactly identical, since Godefroy doesn't have a dragon to graft, but Godric does, allowing us to deduce that since Godefroy failed, Godric is trying something new. Elden Ring uses a repeat boss like Godefroy to exemplify a few important things. There is almost always a causal relationship between events, and history repeats itself. Causality isn't a circle, it's a spiral. Like, why is grafting seen as grotesque, other than the obvious? And how could it have led to our two golden boys being rejected as heirs to Leyendell? We learn in Shadow of the Erdtree that Queen Marika's home was that of the shaman village, and the flesh of shamans could meld harmoniously with others, leading to the horrendous jarring rituals of the Hornset. These Newman women were whipped, mutilated, and stuffed into jars with that of other people, and sometimes animals, so that they could become saints and attain divinity. As
And
descendants of
misbegotten.
Marika, Godric and his ilk have inherited this unique property of their flesh, and they are engaging in a practice that's steeped in a vile history of subjugation and torture. Godric's headband is even the same as the bands found on the legs of the poor jarred shaman women. By
Hey!
considering when we
He's
learn
talking about the
information,
headband.
we can see how Elden Ring
Yeah.
is setting up questions that it plans on answering later. Questions it sometimes didn't even expect you to ask. Even starting at a seemingly innocuous character like Godefroy, we can figure out practically all of Elden Ring's lore and story. For instance, why is Godric going to graft a dragon to his body? Let's hear what he has to say on the matter. Sorry, wrong clip.
Mighty dragon,
Thou the
the
true born
heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred.
Long ago, the ancient dragons, nearly immortal beings made of stone, attacked the royal capital, forever altering its skyline and burying an untold amount of people under rubble and hellfire. This was the start of the bloody and terrible conflict known as the War Against the Ancient Dragons.
Stone-sheathed
But the
swords.
demigod Godwyn the Golden defeated the ancient dragon Fortisax, befriending his fallen foe, for which this event would give rise to the capital's ancient dragon cult. Unfortunately for Godefroy, the ancient dragon knight Kristoff must not have received the memo on who he was dealing with. Godefroy traces his lineage to the first Elden Lord through Godwyn the Golden, the founder of the dragon cult that Kristoff is a part of. That he's a part of. He's a pirate.
Okay, Jack.
To rectify this, Godric is going to graft a dragon
Jack.
to his arm and talk to Kristoff's
Jack
manager.
is a sparrow.
Who is?
Hey, Seinfeld.
Morgott is another demigod, but he is the direct son of Godfrey and Marika, his great rune proving that he was born of the golden lineage, and that he is indeed the Lord of Leyendell. Unfortunately, he was born as a graceless and reviled omen. Those who are born with mangled horns, aspects of the ancient crucible of life, and are assailed by vengeful spirits. Most children born omen have their horns excised, causing them to perish. But omen born of royalty keep their horns. The families of omen have dolls bearing horns made to memorialize these poor children. As a direct son of Godfrey, Morgott had been imprisoned in the sewers of Leyendell with the rest of the omen, and was shackled with a special fetish bathed in golden magic of the Erdtree to handle all that great rune energy. The power of this magical shackle has
Carey.
faded, however, and since second Elden Lord Radagon and Marika have gone missing, he has taken it upon himself to become the protector of the Erdtree, though they never loved him in return. At the very end of the game, before the fight with Godfrey at the base of the burning Erdtree, he lovingly lifts up his son Morgott and passes on a somber greeting.
It's been a long while, Morgott.
And partway through fighting him, he gently removes the lion Siraj from his back,
me well.
neatly takes off
Poor
his shirt,
Siraj.
and begins to wrestle us like a bear and roar like a beast. Found in a forest in the Land of Shadow, we can discover how Godfrey learned this fighting technique. From the Highlander and Gloried attire, which looks a lot like Godfrey's Elden Lord armor, we
Oh,
learn
wow,
that
it
Highland
does.
warriors are known to be the hunters
Yeah, in
of
fact, that
bears.
Highlander
To them,
armor
there
was
is
a
no
cut
act more glorious
piece of
than
armor
the
from the base game.
subjugation of the savage beast.
Hey.
And by defeating the great red bear Regulia, we can learn
Jack
to
is
emit
fucking
his
good
mighty
at this.
roar, which is jokingly called the Bear Communion. Insert joke
I
about the
told
Pope
you,
and
d-
bears.
wasn't I
It's an
just saying he
incantation that
just,
is more akin to the
casually
divine invocation of the
knows the
Hornset
answers?
than it is to that of Dragon Communion. Only through desperate battle with the feral wild
Lol.
can one discover a god unique
They're
to
just body
oneself.
slams.
Bear witness!
From this, we learn that Godfrey was a Highland warrior who hunted bears and discovered a god unique to oneself. The divine beasts are lions that are seen as messengers from the heavens, and when Mikola ascends to godhood, him and Radon, the Red Lion, kind of looks like Godfrey and Siraj. Bear witness indeed. Godfrey's knights are all Crucible knights, who can use the power of the Crucible to invoke the aspect of animals, and the Hornsent view the Crucible as sacred for their refinement wrought through its evolutionary gifts. And in the Tower of Bellarat, if you antagonize the Hornsent grandma, she recites a curse.
A curse upon the strumpet's progeny, upon Marika's children, each and all. The curse of the omen shall strike thee down.
Because of Marika's crusade on the Hornsent, her offspring would be haunted by vengeful spirits, the curse of the omen. Hornsent children can also be born with a mass of horns that can cause them untimely deaths, just as the omen are born with tangled horns, but are assailed by the vengeful spirits of the Hornsent. And much like Erdtree culture would come to do, the Hornsent would make dolls to memorialize their own children born with oversized horns who would meet a frightful end. Uh-oh, somebody should tell Godric that this dragon head might not be his meal ticket he thought it was.
Visit Jack's
or maybe
page
he's busy.
And give it
This
a
all gives us
thumbs
a
up.
clear connection that
leave
Godfrey
him a
came from a
comment.
culture adjacent to that of the Hornsent, and that he
Like
and his
and
people have their
subscribe
genetics
my
influenced by the
dudes and
Crucible as
dudettes
well. So it would
and
make sense
non-binary
that his sons
dude
would be born
version
as cursed
word,
omen.
something.
Elden Ring once again set up the omen, just to reveal later that their origins are of those with Hornsent descent. So why does Godwyn look like a fish and not a pincushion? I have searched far and wide.
Is
and
that
I have yet to
Vsauce
find
music?
an aspect of the Crucible salmon. Godwyn looks like he has more in common with dragons than he does with the Hornsent or the Crucible. We know that Godfrey wasn't too keen on the ancient dragons. Although the capital has a dragon cult, and the worship of ancient dragons does not conflict with belief in the Erdtree, they still attacked his city. Throughout Limgrave and Liurnia are ruins that fell from the sky, and their glowing fragments are found everywhere. On the border of Caelid in Limgrave is a sword monument that reads, Lord Godfrey, at last at the end of his campaign, his golden armies unvanquished and unbowed, yet finds grace lost, tattered, and faded. And going deep into Caelid, through the Dragon Barrows, we can find a cave with some Farum beastmen, similar to the first cave players find in Limgrave. Then the Farum Great Bridge, guarded by a dragon. And finally, the Bestial Sanctum, both places with similar architecture to our Sky Ruins. You can even find a legendary weapon from a Crucible Knight and a Leonian Misbegotten that tells of the ruins that fell from the sky because it was hit by a meteorite. In early game areas like Third Church of Marika and the Church of Pilgrimage, we hear echoes of Marika talking directly to Godfrey about her divesting him of grace so he can leave the lands between, war, grow stronger, die, and be revived with grace to stand before the Elden Ring again. It isn't until we burn the Erdtree do we learn who Godfrey fought at the end of his campaign, and why it ended in Caelid. After using the Giant's Forge, we are transported to crumbling Farum Azula, lost beyond time, the source of the ruins that fell from the sky, the ancient city occupied by the dragon-worshipping beastmen and banished knights, and the ancient dragons themselves. We also find Godfrey's Crucible Knights, one standing victorious over a dead ancient dragon, and one fighting the Farum beastmen, as well as a malformed tree sentinel who uses armor and weapons made from felled ancient dragons. The Godefroy method strikes again. At the very start of the game, we are given hints about the end of Godfrey's wars, this ancient city, the beastmen who inhabit it, how it was destroyed, and that it may have been the home of dragons. And it isn't until the very end of the game do we get this big payoff and reveal, that after Godfrey invaded the city, it was destroyed, and Marika initiated her plan, Operation Tarnished Grace.
Rated teen.
No! I'm so sorry you're getting this horrible advert.
So how does this connect to Godwyn? The ancient dragons were the prehistoric rulers of the
Tell me
lands
when the ad's
between
done.
before the Erdtree.
done.
I'm
Something
watching
must
with
have
a
changed to get us from
an
dragons
ad
and
block.
beasts to
Therefore.
men and trees. During the age of the Erdtree, the ancient dragons attacked the Erdtree's capital city. This eventually leads to Godfrey attacking their city of Farum Azula, and this is where it gets interesting. While Godfrey was on an offensive war against the ancient dragons, Godwyn was making some scaly friends. Ancient dragons like Lanciacs would take the form of priestesses to commune with the knights of Leyndell and convert them into dragon cultists. Worship of ancient dragons was seen permissible because their scales and lightning are both gold. But when we get to Farum Azula, we find a secret spellbook that says that ancient dragons wield red lightning. And the color red is a big no-no color because of its connections to the fire giants and the primordial crucible. Uh-oh, looks like somebody got hoodwinked. Recall my video about manipulation. Add Godwyn to the list of puppets. Now, Godwyn is known for one really big event in Elden Ring's history. It is the catalyst for why the world is all messed up at the start of the game, the Night of the Black Knives. As per this finger reader crone, Godwyn was supposed to be a martyr for destined death. But oopsies, Ronnie the Witch pulled a fast one on the gang, sabotaging the Black Knife ritual, and Godwyn only got a soul death. His body unable to perish, but left to eternally decay. His soul-dead, rotting corpse is buried into the Erd Tree's root system, and the rune of death begins spreading through the Great Tree roots. This prevents Erd Tree burial because now souls can't be consumed by the Erd Tree. Instead, black knotted roots protrude from the ground, disconnecting the Great Tree roots from the Erd Trees, and the lost spirits begin inhabiting skeletal remains, creating those who live in death. Since the Erd Tree can't be nourished anymore via its root system, it begins to lose luster. It doesn't produce any dew or sound. Magical fetishes bathed in gold begin to fade, and the omen they shackle are freed. The Age of Plenty comes to a close. Radagon becomes Elden Lord and ushers in the Age of the Elden Ring. Until the Elden Ring is shattered, and Marika and Radagon go missing. The Tarnished begin to return. Morgott takes the title of Lord of Leyndell, and Godfrey fails his coup in the first defense of Leyndell, getting captured by the ancient Dragon Knight Kristoff. So thanks to Godfrey, we can see that, wait a minute, that's not all the lore. Alright, let's try this again. So there are these people called perfumers. They essentially make potions and aromatics that mimic the power of the Erd Tree. The act of perfuming was widely guarded by the capital until the Shattering War, and the perfumers were recruited into various militaries. But before that, they were attempting to heal the Omen and Misbegotten. When their efforts failed, they would watch over them to ensure they would die peacefully. A tale akin to the origins of the Deathbed Companions. And what would you know? Godwyn's girlfriend was a Deathbed Companion. She's hanging out the Table of Lost Grace, giving out free hugs. But if you get one, she'll sap some of your life energy to pass on to her boyfriend, and in return, you get a Baldachin blessing, a favor bestowed by a deathbed companion, protection of a hidden temple in the guise of a bedchamber. The favor allows one to forget any aches and pains. In death, there is only peace, for in death, there can be no sensation. How nice. When Godwyn died his soul death and was buried into the roots, we got those who live in death, skeletons reanimated by lost souls. The Golden Order was created by confining destined death, the rune that dictates the fated deaths people should die. Its removal essentially made the demigods immortal, and meant that most people would need to go through special burial rituals like ghost flame cremation or Erd Tree burial in order to perish. Otherwise, they might turn up like this. Yuck. Those who live in death just happen to fall outside of the logic of the Golden Order, as spirits who live in dead bodies. All Fia wants is to be a mother of those who live in death, and to do that, she must lie with the remains of Godwyn, the Prince of Death, so she can create a mending rune that will bring about the Age of the Duskborn, an order with death restored. But something fishy's going on here. Those who live in death carry a very peculiar shield. The Sun Realm Shield, shield of honor depicting a city crowned by the sun. It has seen better days. Much like the wear upon the shield, the seat of the sun has long faded away. Throughout the entire game, we explore and visit castles that have the same design as the castle on the Sun Realm Shield. And all of these places have the armor and armaments of the dragon-worshipping banished knights. Places like Castle Morn, Castle Sol, the Fortified Manor, and many more. Say, what happened to the Sun Realm? I bet this big glowing tree had something to do with it. You can find these Sun Realm skellies nearly everywhere in the Lands Between, but it isn't until the end of the game in Farum Azula, a place where the sun is always setting, do you find the Beastmen who live in death, carrying the same shield. How very interesting. Godwyn seems to be bringing back a lot of advocates of those silly ancient dragons. Nigh on immortal beings made of stone who used to rule in a time before the Erd Tree. I'm
this music is killing me. It's great.
Might like Godwyn for more than his good looks. To get Fia's mending room, you need to enter her deathbed dream and fight the Lich Dragon Fortisax, the ancient dragon that Godwyn befriended and led to the creation of the ancient dragon cult. After Godwyn the Golden becomes the Prince of Death, the ancient dragon Fortisax fought long and hard against death within its companion. Alas, victory was never achieved, and its only reward was corruption. Fortisax has black scales with gold underneath and resembles Fia, wearing her black shawl with gold hair hidden underneath. It isn't until Shadow of the Erd Tree do we meet the ancient dragon priestess Florisax. Each night, The priestess offers her own sleep to her lord, and in turn receives the power of his favor, the ancient dragon's blessing, favor bestowed by the Dragon Communion Priestess. In the name of the Dragon Lord Placidusax, consume FP to increase all forms of damage negation. It looks and functions a lot like the Baldecan blessings. Just look at them. So by progressing into Shadow of the Erdtree, we are shown the origin of the Deathbed Companions came from the ancient dragon priestesses, helping us deduce that Fia is Fortisax. And by progressing to Farum Azula, we learn that the Sun Realm and those who live in death are aligned with the ancient dragons, revealing that the ancient dragons weren't just trying to take down Leyendell by force, but through subterfuge by manipulating the demigod Godwyn. Though there are multiple parties who had their own unique interests in the Night of the Black Knives, Godwyn being dubbed a martyr for destined death makes a lot more sense now that we can partially connect it to a plot that would destabilize the Erdtree and reinstate ancient dragon rule. A king relinquishes, not the hand, right, Ensha? Just kidding. Ensha can't talk. He's a skeleton.
But wait! There's more!
Godric was going to graft a dragon to his arm to impress the ancient dragon cultist, but wouldn't you know, that's the wrong type of dragon. Poor guy can't catch a break. Found throughout the underground in the Eternal Cities amongst the Nox and the Mimics, we also find dragonkin soldiers, failed copies of dragons that the Nox were attempting to create. We see these guys a total of 3 times. And then in Shadow of the Erdtree, we find...
Curse you, Bale!
Man, they look really similar. Check out this video about how Bale was created. Bale betrayed the Dragon Lord Placidusax and knocked his socks and his heads clean off. To recover from his wounds, Placidusax needs to take an eternity nap, like he's on his deathbed, and the ancient dragon priestess will be his companion, offering him her solace so he can sleep beyond time. And since Bale was a traitor, the priestess also brought dragon communion to the world, convincing humans to hunt and consume the hearts of dragons as to quell Bale and his bloodline, the Drakes, the bastards among the ancient dragons. Nobility like Kenneth Height make remarks early in the game calling into question Godric's lineage to Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. Godric is grafting a bastard dragon to himself. Later, we learn that Morgott the Omen is the true heir to Leyendell in the Golden Lineage. And nowhere in-game is it ever actually stated that Godwyn is in fact the son of Godfrey. Every single demigod has it listed in-game who their parents are, except for Godwyn and Godric. What a strange omission. Is Godwyn's missing daddy actually a dragon? Find out in a future video, or watch this pre-Shadow of the Erdtree video about Godwyn in case you can't wait. When we finally get to Farum Azula and find the hidden boss fight with Placidusax, we learn that he was actually an Elden Lord before the Erdtree, and that not only is he chilling out here recovering from his battle with Bale, but that his god fled, and the Dragon Lord is awaiting its return. So, where'd the god go? Halfway through the game, do we learn that the ancient dragons attacked Leyendell, and it isn't until defeating a secret boss hidden in one of the final levels that we learn why that is. Dragon Lord Placidusax is awaiting the return of his god who fled, and Leyendell is the home of the Erdtree and the god America, allowing us to piece together the motivation behind the war against the ancient dragons. This method for learning the story is even present before you even start playing the game. When you first pick up your copy of Elden Ring, on the cover is the title Elden Ring, and a picture of the Elden Ring. Inside, a disc, Elden Ring. The goal of the Tarnished is to go to the Erdtree and stand before the Elden Ring. But the game can be really hard, so you have to do things like level up your healing flask using golden seeds, which say that when the Elden Ring was shattered, these seeds flew from the Erdtree, scattering across the various lands, as if life itself knew that its end has come. If they don't give you enough juice, you can use the Crimson Seed Talisman, which is patterned after an Erdtree seed. The Erdtree was once perfect and eternal. Thus, it was believed that Erdtree seeds could not exist, and at the very depths of the Erdtree's majestic root system, where Godwyn is buried, is the oldest spell that derives from the Erdtree, Elden Stars. It says that the Greater Will sent a golden star bearing a beast into the lands between, which would later become the Elden Ring. When you finally make it to the capital, you can't even get into the Erdtree to get to the Elden Ring, so you have to burn it down. But when you do, it brings you to Farum Azula to unleash destined death, and in that room is a picture of the Elden Ring. It looks like a seed sprouting roots. Beneath
It's
it is
so
a
good.
woman, surrounded by 3 wolves, modeled exactly like the red wolves of Radagon. After the death of Radagon, the Elden Ring turns into the Elden Beast, and the arena transforms into an ocean, with spectral Erd trees, and the light of a golden sunset, reaching as far as the eye can see. It isn't until Shadow of the Erd Tree do we get the Crimson Seed Talisman +1. The Erd Tree seed of this talisman was presumed to be an object of myth. This age-old artifact also depicts the 2 fingers, perhaps harkening back to the birth of the Erd Tree. It
Given
looks like
to her
2
by the
fingers
2
planting the
fingers.
seed that would bring about the Erd Tree. It looks like the relief from Farum Azula is showing us that the Elden Ring is that Erd Tree seed. Further yet still, we can find Mater, the Mother of Fingers, underneath what looks like a body of water, as far as the eye can see. She is the mother of all 2 fingers, those that instruct the faithful and choose Empyreans to house the Elden Ring and ascend as gods. Mater is the daughter of the Greater Will. She was the first shooting star to fall upon the Lands Between. She used to receive signs from the Greater Will from beyond the microcosm before the arrival of the Elden Beast. Despite being broken and abandoned, she kept waiting for another message to come. Her remembrance can give you the Gazing Finger Weapon. With the Ash of War kowtowers resentment. It's a skill that performs a violent bow, and resentment builds as it's forced to bow, making it explode in anger. Who is the Mother of Fingers angry with? It is said that long ago, the Greater Will sent a golden
Fingers
star
angry.
bearing a beast into the Lands Between,
Golden one angry with.
which would later become the Elden Ring. The Mother of Fingers is angry with the Elden Beast, the vassal beast of the Greater Will, and the living incarnation of the concept of order. With a vassal of order present in the Lands Between, there would be no need for her father to send more messages. Marika is a Newman, long-lived and seldom born, a shaman whose flesh melds harmoniously with others, and an Empyrean, chosen by the Fingers to become a god of a coming age. Elden Ring sets up a lot of questions, and it intends on answering all of them. Throughout the game, we travel through a world broken by war, torment, destruction, hate, and despair. It shows us those who have been hurt by the cruelty that man inflicts on his fellow, and it wants to tell us why. Because of a lust for power, because of a need for revenge, because of a fear of the other, just because. It shows us that hate begets hate,
Yeah.
and violence begets violence. It shows us that when one cosmic being was scorned by another, it convinced a woman with great gifts that she could save herself and the one she loved from an eternity of suffering. Through seduction and betrayal, at the top of the world with corpses laid at her feet, she could reach into the heavens bathed by a never-ending golden sunset as far as the eye could see, grab hold of a beast from beyond, and imprison the Elden Ring within her, so she could control the order of things. Elden Ring hides its story not just in the description of items, cryptic dialogue between characters, or on the reliefs and tapestries found in ruined castles and palaces, but in the order and the location that you learn these things. At the very end of Elden Ring, when you're about to enter the Erd Tree, a great white light flashes, and you're transported inside. After the defeat of the final boss, you can enter New Game Plus to do it all again. During the introductory cutscene, your Tarnish is gifted with grace, and a great white light flashes, transporting you to the Chapel of Anticipation. The item that all players begin with at the start of the game is the Memory of Grace, which looks not only like Sights of Grace used to rest at, but also like a golden sunset reflecting off the water. The
It
Memory of
does.
First Grace,
Yes,
which
yes,
once guided
I've
bygone
been feeling
Tarnish
this
to the Lands Between.
since the
It is
base game.
merely a cycle. Stand before the Elden Ring. Become the Elden Lord. On your first playthrough here, the Grafted Scion would most likely kill you, throwing your body into the water and allowing you to continue with the rest of the game. But on your second go around, you'll most likely defeat them. Afterwards, you're rewarded with a new path forward, dotted with nascent butterflies. An arcane butterfly with translucent wings. This butterfly appears as if it's just emerged from its cocoon for its entire life. These butterflies are closely associated with the eternally youthful, ever-bewitching Empyrean Mikola. You can find these butterflies in many curious
Mikola!
places throughout the Lands Between, and their locations tell a story, but none more clearly than the
Mikola!
butterflies who flap their wings at the end.
Everybody's favorite
The
trust
rocks are
fund kid.
loose
I'm kidding.
And the fall is deadly, leading to your Tarnish
True.
being washed up in a stranded gravesite, sure to die, and being found by Melina on the back of Torrent, the spectral steed.
Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
And thanks to him, your Tarnish can travel through the world of Elden Ring, bask in its beauty, witness its horrors, and uncover its mystery, such as finding Castle Sol, black banners waving in the wind, depicting the sun in eclipse. Throughout the game, we learn from items that the sun in eclipse is the symbol of the Wandering Mausoleum, where soulless demigods slumber, and that the eclipsed sun, drained of color, is the protective star of soulless demigods. But to reach Miquella's Halig Tree, we need to come here to get the second half of his secret medallion, guarded by golden lightning-clad veterans and ancient dragon-worshipping banished knights. Here, amongst the allies of Miquella, we can find the Eclipse Hotel. In Sol, the sight of an eclipse inspires a dreadful awe, preventing an onlooker from averting his gaze.
O great sun, frigid sun of Sol, surrender yourself to the eclipse. Grant life to the soulless bones.
It has a unique skill, where raising it aloft ignites a death flare, and sets the lustrous sun ablaze with the Prince of Death's flames. And if you play the game enough, you will learn that the eclipse has already happened, that it was the catalyst that set all else into motion, that when Ranni, the Dark Moon Witch, interfered with the Knight of the Black Knives, she eclipsed Godwyn the Golden's attempts to become a martyr for destined death. When the curse mark was carved at the moment of death of the first demigod, it should have taken the shape of a circle. However, 2 demigods perished at the same time, breaking the curse mark into 2 half-wheels. Ranni was the first of the demigods whose flesh perished, while the Prince of Death perished in Sol alone. You will learn that Godwyn's story had already ended with the creation of Deathroot, and the young Empyrean only needed him to grant life to the soulless bones and end the age of the Erd Tree. It isn't until Shadow of the Erd Tree, and following Sir Mor's questline, do we learn who sent Torrent to find our Tarnished. In a cookbook given to us by Sir Mor, there are 2 recipes. One is for spirit raisins that Torrent has a taste for, and another is Miquella's Charming Branch, a branch blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold that can bewitch those under a spell, those saved from mimics, and those who live in death. Oh brother, Lord brother, please die a true death. From your first footsteps in the lands between, to the top of the world at the Gate of Divinity, Miquella has guided you. There's something he wants you to see, and this is how Elden Ring hides its story.
The butterfly effect, as they called it. You crush a butterfly in the Jurassic, and suddenly you've changed all of human history from that point forward, unintentionally. A little change in a long narrative can have big changes further on.
Thank you for watching the video all the way through. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. In the description of this video, you can find links to my other videos, as well as a link to my Discord server. Until next time, keep hunting for that story.
Jack.
Holy shit.
Jack. Jacobus Mimicus.
How dare you?
What is this music that we're going to not be able to hear the rest of?
My god, Jack. Oh.
Jack, what the fuck? What is this masterpiece?
Everybody go like and subscribe and follow and like and comment and like and share and follow and subscribe and like and breaks. It's so good.
That was really, 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 really good.
It's really good.
Jack, how do you hold all this in? I wouldn't be able to do that. I would be like, just blurting everything out constantly. But listen, guys, I have gone longer than intended. I have to work tonight, so I really have to go to bed. But this was excellent. I actually really enjoyed that. We had Rivu on. With,
I'm still here.
Have Rivu on, spilling his ideas of the cosmos, and then we have Metal Foxhound giving us babies from moons, and then we got a whole incredible video from Jack. You guys, this was brilliant.
It was awesome. It was brilliant. That's cool.
Oh, Jack, thank you for inviting me to watch your video on stream. That was excellent. that was really, really good. And I'm gonna definitely have to rewatch that. Like when I have moments to like pause it and rewind and think about some of the things you said. But one of the things that jumped out to me straight away when you were talking about it is Marika has mimicked everyone and everything. I used to think that like the Nox were mimicking her. What if it's the other way round? Like the golden lightning dragons, that's a mimicry of the red lightning ancient dragons. And like you pointed out, and then look at Godwyn. We do have in the game an example of a being that looks like Godwyn. There's an illustration of it. Do you remember me telling you guys about Melusine? I've told you about Melusine so many times. Melusine looks like the same creature as Godwyn. And she's depicted right there on the chair. That's her. See, with her snake scaled legs that end in fins, like that's a Godwyn type being. And the other thing that's really fascinating about that is in the Halig tree, which I don't know if this character even has access to yet. She does. In the Halig tree, we see
I just had like a Greek myth brain blast. Okay, sorry, keep going.
We see a being, like a female character who just reminded me of like fertility and birth. We see a relief of a woman who looks really similar to that right there. She just doesn't have the fit. Does she have a fin? Look at where her feet end. It looks mechanical though. But maybe that's a fin. I don't know. But I think that might be he isn't as much of a one-off as we think he is. I'll include the yellow lightning in a future video. Death lightning tells us that gold lightning is Godwyn's. 100%.
About the lightning and the fire, I have a general feeling about how Elden Ring deals with concepts like lightning and fire, where it's like, and other things, but specifically those two, where it's like fire normally represents like a thing that can be used to destroy a thing. Like that's how it is in Greek myth. Like the idea that like Prometheus giving a man fire is scary for Zeus because like, oh, now they can control a thing that can destroy them or can destroy stuff generally, and they have power as well. The idea of like one who has control of a thing, one who can destroy a thing can control it, Dune, etc. I have a feeling about why all the different fires have different colors. And it's literally to do colors and like purposes. It's literally to do with this is the thing that destroys this equivalent thing. Like Ghost Flame is for death, which is why it's endothermic. Like it's cold. It does like frostbite damage. And because putrescent flesh is molten, and freezing something is to solidify it. So Ghost Flame, the destruction of death, might be the creation of both. Do you know what I mean? To solidify a molten thing. Frenzied Flame, it looks like an eyeball, which is like just like refracting and becoming strange, and using the liquefy tool on Photoshop because it burns reality. It burns all reality. It burns our perception of reality. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's to do with lightning, and it's just occurring to me because lightning is just the shifting of an electron from one point to another is just a reaction. It's just like it's a concept of like change in like in molecular structure between two differently charged bits of thing. It's a reaction is what it is. And I think lightning just has to do with like the specific reaction of a specific material, and the game is very good at like talking about material in ways that are beyond purely physics. Like it opens up into concepts like revenge is also a concept of physics, is what the game suggests, because the red fire of what's his name, Mesmer's fire is different because it's about revenge. It's about the destruction of the Hornsent. Black Flame is about is about killing gods. It does more damage to the Elden Beast, for instance. So, and the same thing kind of applies to other things across the game. Like color tells us a story of like what material and what objects and what thoughts are being talked about, and that physics thing expands into another thing about like how matter and energy can never be destroyed. It can only change from one form to another. But taking that physics concept and actually really using it to talk about the nature of karma in the world of Elden Ring. This is a different conversation. We'll have to have like a full other conversation at some point in VC or like generally at some point. It's like a whole thing. Don't worry about it. Sorry.
It's the whole thing. Don't worry about it. Are you kidding?
It's the whole thing. Wait. So can I quickly just talk about the Melusine thing that you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't necessarily about Melusine, but something occurred to me. There's like a weird parallel inside the story of Godwyn, suddenly for me, to Greek mythology, which had not occurred to me for all this time. So, do we all kind of roughly understand Zeus and his siblings and how that works? About how Kronos was like eating up all the children, and Zeus was like hidden away, and Zeus was the youngest of his like siblings, and he was hidden away, went and did a whole thing, trained, got really cool and shit. Cool is a strong word for Zeus. Zeus isn't cool. But, he went away, did a whole thing, the whole situation. And meanwhile, all the other siblings of Zeus are like inside Kronos. And Zeus sort of comes back and beats up Kronos and says, "Give me back my my siblings." And they all show up. But then Zeus starts showing his real true colors, and is like, "Yo, so all of you might be like older than me, but now I'm the eldest. Whoever comes out of Kronos like first, you're the next, in age, etc., etc. Whatever." So because this starts happening, all of the gods beyond this point, the thing that happens is all of the gods get specific roles. They will now have specific roles, and they will become like the god. Yeah, Zeus is very much a sassy baka. That's 100% right, Metal Fox. He is the sassiest of bakas. He is a soon piece. Anyway, okay. Right. So here's the important one. There is a story in Greek myth about how Poseidon and Hades were in like a bit of a competition almost, or like a rivalry or something, to get rule over the realm of the oceans and the realm of death. And I don't remember what the competition is, but I know for a fact that like it could have been either or. It could have been like Poseidon could have very easily been the god of like death, and Hades could have been the god of the underworld, of the chthonic gods. But that's not how it plays out. What's really interesting about Godwyn, in the imagery of him having like a fish tail with scales, similar to how we see Poseidon in like lots of media and like in literature sometimes, being like the prince of death, it's almost like he doesn't belong. There's something like do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he doesn't belong in the realm of like Elden Ring, but there's a real dichotomy between the idea of like an ocean god and god of an underworld, like a death concept, that is being presented to us in this world, and it's just fascinating. Suddenly, out of nowhere, it just hit me like a truck. Like, whoa. Raccoon. Oh no, I'm in an isekai about Godwyn being Hades and Poseidon all at once or something. Something.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
that's fascinating. You know what? I would love to pick this up tomorrow around the same time that we started today, maybe a little bit earlier. Because I don't want to be this tired when we're talking about this stuff.
Understandable.
And do you know, how do you guys feel about it how do you guys feel about, depending on who's available, us having like a group voice chat and
That sounds like fun.
sharing these ideas there, and of course we'll keep watching the chat. Jojo Siwa. We'll keep watching the chat and including people in the chat who
Yes,
can't
the
talk to voice.
the chthonic Jojo Siwa, the chthonic god of gay pop or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Created gay pop.
She's so ridiculous. But yeah, this is awesome. I urge each of you to do some research on the topics we were talking about now, so that they make a little bit more sense to you. I urge you to re-watch Jack's video, give it a like, leave a lovely comment, thank him for letting us munch on his video in the stream. And
Should we ask everybody in the chat to leave like a word, like something specific that's only specific to this group chat?
yes,
Like as an inside joke.
What's our word?
What should it be?
Should be, oh my god, this is so menacing.
So menacing, so demure, so
So demure, so menacing.
so mindful, so menacing, so demure. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think something in those lines. If you want to like stick to this joke, everybody's leave this is so menacing, so mindful, so demure. Apart from whatever you have to say.
Yeah,
Anyway,
for sure. All right, guys. Well, I've really got to go. Sadly, I hate it, but I got to work, and you know, I work too much. La la la. But thank you guys so much for joining in to the stream today, and for the next couple of days, I'm going to be no, I do not. For the next couple of days, I'm going to be what do you call it? Streaming just like a couple of hours when I get home from work, which is a little bit earlier than I did today. So please join us for more conversation on these topics. We might I urge you to watch his video again, but we might actually go over his video again tomorrow and do like a real sort of review / recap of it, where we kind of go through it, and I'll pause and we'll talk about it, go through it, pause, talk about it, and just because this was like such a explosion of ideas, and I feel like, have you ever had your hair just blown back?
Yeah.
I feel like my hair has been blown back, and I'm like, so yeah, it was incredible. It was wonderful, and I think it deserves several rewatches. So I'm going to rewatch it in my own time, and then tomorrow I'd like to go over it again and engage with you guys and have some conversation about it. So if you guys want to join in the voice chat tomorrow, be sure you contact me on Discord, let me know that you'd like to be in the voice chat, and we will get that going when I start streaming tomorrow. Alright guys, I hope you all have a lovely night, a lovely evening, a lovely afternoon, a lovely day, a lovely morning, whatever it is, wherever you are, guys, gals, non-binary pals. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.
And if you're all in Faramazula, then a forever day. And if you're in any Relim, then why you always lying? I'm sorry, I just had to I just wanted to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes, what he said. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.